Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another exciting Propagandacast with me, Imperial Dane. And today I have for you a 1 versus 1 on Angoville. Yes, indeed, we will be having a trip through the villas of Angoville, which doesn't really make sense, but there you go. Angoville, of course, sort of divided into two halves. One is the open bit of farmland, fields, trees, bushes, all that stuff, while the eastern is a bit more secluded, a lot more dead angles, dead spots due to buildings, due to a lot more bocage, which of course also makes it a bit harder to defend in some manners and of course easier to defend in other manners. It all depends on how you approach. Oh dear, my apologies for that. But how you approach it with barbed wire, sandbags, mines, all the good stuff. So, now that has been jammed up, let's go look at our opponents. In the northern corner we'll be seeing as the Wehrmacht Haushunter of the 352nd Grenadier Division. Yes, indeed. And who shall he be fighting? It shall be HeroVrizio again, fighting as the American 1st Infantry Division. And let us get right to it. We'll of course have to see what sort of thing the Wehrmacht commander will be going for, and what shall the American commander go for. Probably seeing yes, a barrack and a Wehrmacht quarters. And of course, we're from there. Usual thing for the Wehrmacht, for example, for now to go for is either get the Wehrmacht quarters, then the Krieg barracks, then the Panzer command. Others might just go for the Wehrmacht quarters, skip the Krieg barracks, go straight for the Sturmarmy Pumas, and then use stormtroopers sort of provide anti-tank assets in between those two buildings. Americans, of course, it's usually lots of riflemen, perhaps some BARs, or lots of riflemen. Riflemen? Why the bloody hell am I saying that? Must have had something bad to eat. But lots of riflemen with BARs, or lots of riflemen with M8s, or possibly riflemen with some support, although that's a bit more of a rarity. Well, that's certainly a bit more the recommendable action in some cases. Engineers heading to either side, so are the pioneers doing. Although he's ignoring strategic point here, instead going for the pioneers here. Of course, it could be he wants to take that point first. He is having a false grenades on the way, and they might be taking this point and then heading towards here. That, of course, could work. And false grenades, of course, in the sort of Normandy setting, more representing less actual false grenades and more other types of low quality troops that could be sort of placing or sort of existing in Normandy. That could be troops grabbed from other sort of organizations like the Reich Arbeitsdienst or the Organisation Tod. It could be Luftwaffe security troops. It could be other low quality Wehrmacht troops like the Fortress divisions or the Ostbataillone, which were Poles and Russian prisoners and such. Coming under fire though, American riflemen advancing through cover right here. Bold and aggressive right for the strategic cutoff point. And looks like it will already be working. The false grenades are pulling away. Rather a lot away actually. This is not looking good actually for the Wehrmacht command. Of course, since when troops are pulling back, they can't actually fire back at the enemy pursuing them. And this is certainly giving the American riflemen the advantage. And no, the false grenades are now advancing again. But they are giving some good shots on the American riflemen who are focusing on the pioneers. Another false grenade team on the way. And HeroVrizio is also pushing on in these, while Haushunter is also mostly just engineering and pioneering troops. Riflemen still hanging on, but now larger forces of false grenades advancing at the same time. More riflemen are heading towards the east and west, and certainly currently the Wehrmacht will be holding the advantage due to the closer distance to the Wehrmacht base. And there we go, but the false grenades are standing out in the open again, mind you. Let's just briefly pause. Standing out in the open with your troops against enemy troops in cover is generally considered a bad idea. And for example, like this, not too good. He's already been suffering quite some. Instead, he could perhaps run up to here. That will at least give him some advantage. And now the American riflemen will really be able to gain an advantage against the German troops while the others are moving in. And even if he manages to force away these riflemen, the Americans will still be holding the advantage since fresh troops will be arriving, and of course he's still not really in cover. And now the engineers are of course also there to really make a mess of this. Not looking good. And now he's getting a sniper, and yes indeed, after the patch we have been seeing a lot more snipers being used actually. I'm not entirely sure why. I personally don't prefer them, but there you go. But yes, snipers are a lot more common now. You usually see 2 to 3 in some cases, in fact, which is a bit excessive. But that is how some players prefer it. Usually you didn't see that many snipers, but now it's pretty much what everybody gets except the Panzer Elite and the British. And they can't get snipers. Small engagement right here. not really anything going on as such. Otherwise, pioneers and engineers seizing territory here in the east, and of course, we'll soon be having the sort of, well, the date for Operation Market Garden beginning. That is the September 17th, I do believe. And for that, I figured, well, why not have people send in all of their matches with British versus Wehrmacht or British versus Panzer Elite, just to sort of celebrate that, and then I'll try and see if I can't cast a few games of that day. So of course, feel free to send in as many British Wehrmacht, British Panzer Elite games to sort of have a bit of a mini market garden that day. And we have the sniper on the field. Wehrmacht Volksgrenadiers trying their best. Now the riflemen are charging across the terrain. This is not good either. Of course, you generally don't want to be charging. There we go. Rifleman taking heavy losses. Sniper, though, taking a bit, but he's pulling back. And now the riflemen are really taking a beating out in the open. Whooped, whipped, whapped. All that. And there we go. The Wehrmacht has gained a small victory, although with heavy losses to the infantry. But they are finally making a bit of progress here. And we are seeing some pioneers sneaking about, but they aren't looking too happy. Those riflemen might easily put a bullet between their eyes and put a serious end to their lives. Pioneers advancing here, not entirely sure what they're planning. And we are seeing the creek bags on the way. Of course, skirmish phase. Question is, will he be sticking to it or will he be moving on? And we are seeing a jeep as well. Of course, figuring he might want that to deal with those sneaky snipers. And we are seeing mines. Good show there. But these pioneers, oh dear, awfully exposed. Will need to retreat or apparently run into the building. And we are seeing an MG42 to provide some extra firepower. Pioneers and engineers exchanging fire. And we are seeing the 30 caliber light Browning machine gun getting out there, and the pioneers, oh dear, but pushing through here. And some of those Volksgrenadiers might be wanting to lay down, I don't know, some sandbags or barbed wire or something. Riflemen, snipers and MG42s also hanging about. Good job there with the mines, but really he needs to be a bit more active with his troops rather than just sort of expecting the enemy to attack him, since that's generally giving your opponent the advantage of actually deciding where and when to fight, even how. And the less advantages you can give him, the better. More mines being laid down, but now the Americans are marching in, and of course there are only some awfully wounded and low numbered Volksgrenadier teams to hold the line. Of course the MG42 as well, but that can be flanked without infantry support. BARs equipped, so we'll be seeing that. Of course the Jeep is a bit unusual, but still. BARs for the riflemen, that's certainly going to make them some tough bastards. Pushing on in the east, not looking good for the Wehrmacht, rather pushed in the west already. Keep flanking about, and this is not really the most high level game, I apologize. But there you go, we can't always have it, and again it's sort of a question of supply, and sometimes I really don't have much of a supply for that. Panzerfaust knocking out the Jeep though. But these Volksgrenadiers need to retreat. Standing out in the open against BARs tends to be in the line of inquiry we call bad. And what is going on here? Lots of manpower being floated.
We are losing territory.
Nothing else going on, but riflemen are advancing. Volksgrenadiers as well. Some are retreating, about time. And the riflemen are immediately suppressed by the MG42. Sniper moves in. Might have gotten a shot right there. And the other riflemen are retreating as well. Engineers with minesweepers. My goodness, that's actually foresight. Actually, rather than just waiting for the mines to happen, he's actually anticipating. And this is what you call thinking ahead. That's strategy, that's good. And now he's laying down mines of his own. Good show there by HeroVrizio. Really putting up the pressure, although getting more Jeeps. Well, interesting. Not that Jeeps are bad, but you want to be careful with them, but still. And Haushunter is not laying down on the mines either. He's sort of laying them, mining the roads as well.
Hey, rookie, think you can handle it?
MG42 holding out. Volksgrenadiers on the move, and we looks like we will be seeing a rush for armored cars of the Puma kind. In meanwhile, HeroVrizio is putting up the supply yard. Jeeps and riflemen are advancing. More riflemen, looks like he's moving in for the heavy push, while German troops moving in through the east. But why isn't he pulling them back? Those Volksgrenadiers for reinforcement. There we go. Escalate to assault phase is complete. Mines being laid down to protect this point. And now the Americans are realizing something's going on here and are probably reacting to it, since of course the Wehrmacht forces will be spread out, and in this case much easier targets. There we go, engineers taking up positions in this building to deny to the Wehrmacht. And now the rest are moving in there. but at the same time it does allow Haushunter to further fortify the west. Blitzkrieg, and of course stormtroopers with Panzerschrecks most likely. Jeep moving in against these Grenadiers. Riflemen joining in for a bit of fun as well, and these Grenadiers will need to retreat. There we go. Getting the idea and getting the devil out of there. Sturm Armory on the way. Wehrmacht not really doing much at the moment now. Could perhaps push through here. Take these points, keep up the pressure on the Americans, not make things too easy for them, and they are going for the multiple for themselves. Of course, they do have a bit of a better time at it since they've been holding most of the map, and of course also holding a lot more troops and a lot less losses compared to the Wehrmacht. More mines being laid down. Interesting, interesting. Not really letting up much munitions for those stormtroopers with Panzerschrecks, and they do cost 75 munitions, so keep that in mind. And what is this? Oh, sneaky, sneaky. He's mining the entrance point from where off-map reinforcements will arrive. That is, of course, a rather sneaky trick. And, of course, there's also a reason why you want to protect this area and keep it in your fold as the Wehrmacht. And it's not really sort of applicable here because it's a lot harder to get to due to MGs. And, of course, there's a bit of a cache, but in the north, absolutely nothing to protect it, which of course makes it a lot easier to, well, basically mine. And now attacking from numerous points. Grenadiers still not being reinforced. I can't believe it. And now the riflemen are hitting the mine. Oh dear, getting gunned down, could be lost. Jeep moving in, riflemen, engineers. No health, Grenadiers. Not really how you want to do it. More mines. Pioneers taking losses, and of course engineers spotting the mines, clearing those out. Stormtroopers arriving and hitting a mine immediately and retreating. No losses though, but they are quite wounded. Puma on the field, Sonderkraftfahrt 634. At the same time, M8 armored car moving in. That's probably going to spell something very nasty for the Wehrmacht forces. Not looking good for the 352nd. Already awfully gloomy, as he's already managed to paint himself up in a corner. M8 charging in. Grenadiers getting cut down because again he's not using cover. Bloody hell. M8 charging in. Opening up on these riflemen. Blasting away at them with its 20mm cannon. Taking shots from the M8, and of course there's absolutely nothing to actually assist. The Wehrmacht forces hit a single stormtrooper team with a Panzerschreck. Oh dear, and they're again out in the open. Not looking good at all for the Wehrmacht, although these riflemen are taking quite a beating. Anti-tank gun on the move. Stormtroopers very, very low in health and almost entirely wiped out by a flamethrower. Engineer team cut to bits, to ribbons in fact, and let us go have a look at HeroVrizio, who we've already seen a bit of already. Otherwise, I do apologize if there's been a bit of a curious mix of quality in my cast as of late, but it's sort of a, well, partly again due to a rather problem of supply, but also due to a lack of time since university has begun for me again, and that also means I have less time to sort of constantly go looking through the cast repeatedly until I've sort of figured on the one that's actually the best. Of course, I'll still be doing daily cast, but there might be a few slip-ups here and there. And of course, I might also occasionally sound a bit tired. Pioneers were lost, but I hope in general that people will still keep watching, and of course more will subscribe. And of course I'll always try my best, although again, sort of limitations due to time and lack of good casts. Rifleman pushing on in the west, M8 ready, and Rifleman hitting a mine. At least Haushunter did something alright with all those mines, but again, he really needs to work on his mines. I mean, unit preservation. Oh, bother. But again, unit preservation is the key, and, well, let's not stick with a mid-game analysis. There's not really much to analyze so far. Most of the fighting has been going on in the west. Haushunter has completely neglected the east, and he's really taking a pasting in the west. Stormtroopers with dual Panzerschrecks. I mean, he's really been terrible with getting troops back from reinforcements, really putting in the effort. and really holding the line at all. And of course, using cover, that really seems to be his main problem. Panzerschreck barrage at the M8. Only one connects actually, and the M8 moves away ever slowly. Puma not moving in to support, though. It could open up on those engineers, do a bit with the infantry while the stormtroopers advance. Then again, we do see an anti-tank gun right there. So of course, if he moves it forward, it will be getting a nasty surprise. Of course, he's not aware of it. Sniper sniping away. Kampfkraft center up. Stormtroopers getting away, and there we go. Sonderkraftfahrzeug, schwere Panzer-Spähwagen moving in and taking a direct shot from the anti-tank gun, quite damaged. We'll have to pull out once more. More stormtroopers arriving on the field. Pioneers moving towards the east. No doctrine from HeroVrizio as of yet. M8 could do with a bit of repairs. But more stormtroopers of the 17th SS are continuing to push forwards, hoping to do something, but again I'm rather suspecting that Haushunter here he isn't quite fully aware what he's doing. Sniper firing away. And another rifleman goes down to sniper fire. Rifleman taking, Grenadier taking quite a bit of fire. Stormtroopers not really helping, but there we go. M8 charging in, taking hits from the Panzerschrecks. More stormtroopers moving in. Grenadiers are pulling out, but not retreating. Needs to retreat. There we go. And engineers in the west getting suppressed. Small engagement here between Pioneers and Engineers, and the Pioneers are losing. Although looks like he's finally gotten around to getting some minesweepers himself. Stormtroopers are advancing, ever onwards, as they say. Well, let us speed things up a bit. Looks like the stormtroopers are on the hunt. Sniper opening up, and looks like they might be caught. Yes, there we go. And a mine goes off, suppressing all of the stormtroopers. Rifleman continues to fire away. Puma could be supporting. No, instead the snipers do that. And the stormtroopers are still under fire, still suppressed. Not looking good for them and their plans for Panzerschreck vengeance against the M8. Pushing towards the east. Stormtroopers hanging about. Not having much luck with anything.
Initiating defensive operations.
And looks like an artillery strike is going in. Probably here. Yes, indeed. Seems a bit excessive, though. Sniper continuing to snipe, getting a few shots here and there. That's at least good.
Supply lines are broken. We have territory cut off.
Stormtroopers are advancing once more with all of their Panzerschrecks. Jeep knocked out. M8 armored car could be the next target. It gains veterans you won, though. Increasing the speed, and the stormtroopers are forced to retreat, taking some losses. MG42 advancing, so is the Sonderkraftfahrzeug, the schwere Panzer-Spähwagen. Sniper opening up on the anti-tank gun. Good show there, making it easier for the heavy armored car to advance. And a weapon support center up for HeroVrizio. Perhaps getting his own sniper to deal with this. M8 advancing right into the Hornet's nest. I have no idea why he did that. He ought to have been expecting, yes, the stormtroopers would still be around with all their Panzerschrecks. And when you're close to Panzerschrecks, you're an easy target. Panzerschrecks have a lot of difficulty hitting targets at range, but up close, spot on, which is also why Panzerschrecks are so nice in close quarters combat. But not really out in the open field, but there you go. The M8 delivered itself onto the stormtroopers, seeking death perhaps. Sniper continues to fire away. He's having a nice bit of luck with that. But an American sniper is on the way, and of course Mr. Haushunter will probably not be aware of that, and of course going to result in him losing his sniper very quickly. But looks like he's actually having a bit of luck in the east, taking some points back. And looks like Rangers are on the way. Rifleman getting gunned down. Anti-tank gun recruit. Oh dear, the Puma needs to get away. But the anti-tank gun gets sniped out once more. But now the American sniper gets the German sniper. Oh dear. Lots of sniping. The Puma advances, opens up on the rifleman. Rifleman moves in to recruit the anti-tank gun. And Rangers are there to lead the way. Continuing unstopped in the east, actually. Although looks like they've stopped moving. Oh dear. But it's now moving again. Oh, hiccups. Why must you taunt me so? Anti-tank gun moving into a slightly better position. Stormtroopers continuing the hunt for the anti-tank gun. And looks like Pioneers are coming under fire from the Rangers, firing away with their Garants and bazookas. And looks like a bundle grenade is flying. The bundle grenade was a World War I tactic. A weapon basically used by the actual stormtroopers back then. And it was basically a stick grenade with more of the stick grenade warheads tied around it. Was quite the blast. Fun stuff there. Volksgun is advancing. And it was used by SS Panzer Grenadiers in World War II as one of the originators behind the SS Waffen-SS training program. Was in fact an old stormtrooper. Or at least he had the stormtrooper training in mind. Looks like some sandbags. No, that's a mine being attempted there, but being stopped by the Volksgun. Volksgun is rather surrounded. We needs to retreat. Needs to retreat. There we go. And a Stu-42 could be called in. That could perhaps work a bit against all this infantry. If he actually bothers to go with it, he's going for a Puma as well, or another heavy armored car. No Nebelwerfers and no Stu-42s. Again, I really think at this stage a Stu-42 could help him blow those Yankees away. MD-42 catching these riflemen in the flank. Sniper advancing. Puma opening up on the Rangers who are out in the open.
The enemy advances.
And they're moving in after the Puma. No, just a victory point. Taking sniper fire, it seems. No. No, indeed, we are seeing a German sniper again. Still floating a lot of manpower, though. Again, that's bad. Stormtroopers advancing. Getting sniped. Oh, dear. Not entirely sure why he persists with this. Why he's not really using his resources a bit better. Another heavy armored car on the move. Seems like Haushunter isn't entirely sure what to do. And that's really biting me in the ass, as his indecision is really preventing him from actually taking any sort of solid action. And currently he's just getting his armored car shot to bits. He's reinforcing his troops, but that's it. I mean, he could be getting a Stu-42. He could be getting a lot of things, but sadly he's getting none of that. Instead he's just hanging about. Rifleman taking a bit of fire. And now he's getting a Stu-42, not before, but now. Oh dear. No armor veterancy, and it will have to deal with these riflemen. And the riflemen are retreating, rather realizing that they won't survive a direct encounter with the Stu-42. Pioneers moving in with minesweepers. Good, good. Stu-42 missing, obviously.
We're losing territory.
Riflemen advancing here, taking fire again. Heavy armored cars moving in to put a stop to that. And heavy armored cars coming under fire from the anti-tank gun. Sniper not really doing much at all. Looks like the American sniper was actually... Oh wait, he's there. And Rangers getting hit by the fire of the MD-42 and running straight into its arc of fire, moving in against the MD-42. Looks like grenades have been prepared. Puma opens up on the Rangers. And... well, let's see what's going on. Stu-42 advances, but hits a mine due to clever mining by HeroVrizio. Of course, good mining. And I'm rather liking that I'm seeing all of this extended mining in all of the casts I'm receiving from my viewers, meaning of course they're learning. This is good, very good in fact, and that makes me happy. I'm very happy, man. Anyhow, looking a bit quiet here and certainly not looking good for the Wehrmacht at all. Certainly not one of the sharpest commanders of the 352nd or the Wehrmacht at all.
Americans are seizing territory from us.
Bundled grenades being thrown at nauseam. Some damaging, some not at all. And now they're standing right out in the middle of everything. Their pancakes hitting nothing. Getting slaughtered. Stu 42 advancing the best way it can. Pumas blasting. Snipers doing nothing. Either side sort of hoping to catch the other sniper. And there we go. MG42 gun sniped. And now, oh dear, he tried to place it down in the open. Bad. Rangers surviving all the fire from the Stu 42. Still floating a lot of resources. Again, this is bad. Unless you have a direct plan, like getting something big, but he's not. Clearly not. Now the Stu 42 is under heavy fire. Bazooka rockets flying in from all sides. And lost. Oh, the horror, the tragedy. Bomb grenades on the Rangers, forcing them away. And things are really collapsing for the Wehrmacht, although they do seem to be pushing onwards here in the east. Still, though, he's climbing them up next to the points. That's not something you actually want to do. They don't capture faster. Keep that in mind. And, of course, since there's a mine that was detonated as well, causing even heavier casualties than usual. And there he lost 2 units. Oh, dear, oh, dear. Sniper out in the open. Gunning away. Still floating a ridiculous amount of resources. Not using them properly. Most distressing. GG it seems. There you go. Not the most exciting match, I know, but rather due to time constraints I have to be up early tomorrow for my classes. And I'd rather have a sort of trying to schedule things so I have a lot of time in either side, and then again with university coming back I'm rather lacking a bit in those. But I try my best nonetheless. But there you go, a quick 1 versus 1 on Angoville. We saw some good mining, we saw some good aggression from HeroVrizio, we saw some less than good aggression from Haushunter, some very terrible use of cover again. Use cover if possible and don't stand out in the open against chaps who are in cover and you're not. Bad. Sort of figure yourself, ask yourself, if I was out in the open cover and my opponent wasn't, would I be happy in this situation? And if the answer is yes, well, you're stupid. I'm sorry, but you are. Stick to cover. And of course, unit preservation wasn't too good. He wasn't really good at pressing outwards. And, well, alright mining, but really HeroVrizio pulled it through here. Nicely, could perhaps have been a bit more aggressive, but still alright. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed this fight. If you did, why not subscribe or tell your friends? And if you didn't, well, why not send in a replay of your own? Cheers!